non-government organisation who have observer rights and the opportunity to comment and contribute at these Codex meetings. But Rima makes a big play for money, and on her website she says that they are looking for $45,000 a month in donations to help fight Codex. Well, let me tell you, Henrik, that anybody putting money into Dr. Rima Lebo's organisation, the Natural Solutions Foundation, might as well just go outside and pour it into a black hole, because it's going nowhere. And the purpose of Dr. Rima Lebo and Natural Solutions Foundation, in my opinion, is to take money away, to take donations away from the likes of the Alliance for Natural Health and the National Health Federation, who can make good use of it by raising legal challenges against the excesses of Codex. So Rima Lebo is a classic example of controlled opposition. And, of course, you know, we should also mention that her partner, who's a guy called Major General Albert Stubblebine, is a PSYOP specialist. I mean, his entire military career was spent in psychological operations.
This is a very interesting note, and I was shocked when I saw this in your DVD. You know, he's one of the guys, of course, that was in the documentary and the subsequent also the book by the same name, The Man Who Stares at Goats. It's a kind of a...
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, it's a kind of a PSYOPs / New Age military programs that he's been involved in. One being the Stargate project and kind of parapsychology, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but one has to ask oneself, you know, if her husband is involved in you know, these kind of New Agey, if you will, type programs. I mean, what is the connection here? I mean, this is pretty interesting. And do you think that you know, she potentially could be you know, involved in some way, even with a military type organization here in regards to all of this?
I mean, I have no evidence of that. You know, all I can say is that her behaviour, when she turns up at various Codex committee meetings, I mean, her behaviour is basically outrageous. And, I mean, she actually is disruptive towards the people who do have an opportunity to challenge the excesses of the Codex commissions. And, I mean, yeah, here's an irony. The Codex Alimentarius Commission have recently released an official film, an official documentary. And, I mean, guess who features in it? Dr. Rima Lebo.
Really?
Now, you know, why would the official film of Codex actually give airtime to somebody whose supposed mission is to shut Codex down?
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, you know, Rima Lebo's objective is to take money away, to get donations from people, you know, on the basis that she's setting herself up as this sort of person who can influence Codex, you know, and her talks, obviously, they're very emotive. But, you know, let me say to your listeners, if you are concerned about Codex Alimentarius, if you are based in the US, you must take a look at the website of the National Health Federation. These are the people who really have an opportunity to make some changes here. And if you're in Europe or elsewhere in the world, then look at the website of the Alliance for Natural Health, which is www.anhcampaign.org. And these are the two organizations who I would encourage you to give your financial support to. Look at their track record. Look at the challenges they've raised. Dr. Robert Verkerk of the Alliance for Natural Health was responsible for challenging Codex in the European courts in April of 2005. And the judge, Justice Lienhardt, basically made the observation that Codex was not appropriate for European legislation because Codex, and I quote, is as transparent as a black box. Now, a few months later, and by the way, there was a great film made by a producer called Kevin Miller, a director called Kevin Miller, and the film is We Become Silent. Yeah. And it was made very shortly after that European court ruling. And if people want to get hold of a copy of that, there is a version of it available for free on the web. Right. If they want a better copy, then they can again come to my website. But shortly after that, on July the 12th of 2005, 6 days after London was awarded the Olympics, 5 days after the London bombings, the International Court of Justice in Luxembourg overruled the European court ruling. And the reason that nobody in Britain ever heard about it was because the media here was still full of all the stuff in the immediate aftermath of the the July 7th bombing. But, I mean, it was at that point that effectively the International Court of Justice ruled that the EU could no longer independently resist the implication or implementation of Codex Alimentarius.
Very interesting indeed. And by the way, I just want to mention also that I will have the links up on Red Eyes on the info page to Natural Health Federation and also Alliance for Natural Health, so people can find those websites. And of course they can find it through your website as well, ianrcrane.co.uk. But finishing thoughts here before we end this segment here, Ian. This is a very delicate issue in regards to Rima and her other, what's it called, Natural Solutions Foundation.
Solutions Foundation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she has helped, though, to bring light to the issue, in a way.
Absolutely.
You know.
I absolutely acknowledge that. I mean, bear in mind that her focus is absolutely, external. Her focus is very much towards the public, because she really doesn't have any role to play in the other direction. So there is no question. And I am, by the way, I mean, I would encourage your listeners to go take a look at her website. But go look at her website with eyes open, and understand that, her sole motivation is to get your money. And then that money will be used by her and Bert to travel around the world, swanning it around at the Codex meetings. The reason that people haven't heard about the work of Scott Tipps and Rob Verkerk is because obviously they're very tightly funded, and most of their money, goes on raising legal and scientific challenges against Codex. And obviously those are not things that are cheap.
Of course.
When Rob Verkerk raised the challenge in the European Court of Justice, I mean that was £500,000.
Yeah.
I mean it should have been $2 million. I mean he was very fortunate to find a law firm that was sympathetic to his campaign and was prepared to do the work at a greatly reduced rate. So, Rob Verkerk and Scott Tipps, their organisations, their money is going into legal and scientific challenges. Rima Labo's money goes into first-class airfares.
Well, it's a very important point, and as you said, it's encouraged to check out all the different sides on the issue and check out what rings true for yourself when you look at all of this.
Exactly.
But it's a very good point, Ian, and I think it's appropriate to begin to round things up on that note. And I want to, before we begin with our next segment, though, I want to leave the floor open so you can mention your websites again, and also, of course, you have a DVD out on the subject of Codex Alimentarius, and tell us how people can get that DVD in case they're interested.
Yeah, the DVD is called the Codex Alimentarius, the UN agenda to eradicate organic farming and to destroy the complementary and natural health industry. Big mouthful, just call it Codex Alimentarius.
Right.
It's available from my website, which is www.ianrcrane, that's ianrcrane.co.uk.
Very good. And what we are going to do now is that we're going to take a short break right here. We have a lot more to talk about. I definitely want to get into Ian's take on the New World Order and also how this connects with Zion. We're going to talk a little bit more about 2012 and a lot of the surrounding issues and how all of this might be connected in a way. This is very interesting. So what we'll do is that we'll take a short break and we'll have more of Ian after this break. So for this segment, thank you very much, Ian, for joining us. It was great having you on. But stay with us and we'll be right back.
Thank you, Henrik.
Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to hear more of Ian and myself as we'll dive into the agenda of the New World Order, Zion, and how this connects with what they consider to be a key date, 2012, the year of mystery. Join us in our member section as we'll talk more about this and much, much more. Head on over to redicecreations.com. That's REDICE creations.com. And at the front page or through our radio archive, click on subscribe to find out how to sign up and get instant access to our member section. You'll get full access to our radio archive, and in our member section you'll also find film material, articles, our first archived live video broadcast, and we have a lot more video content coming soon. Interviews that we did recently at the Beyond Knowledge conference and our tour of London.